Atum. The stream is getting ready to go live. We just finished watching the Game Awards, not the Game Awards, same thing though, the Summer Games Fest, in which that we did finally get the New World Aeternum announcement. And in this live stream, I'm really excited to hear what you guys think. We're going to dive into the dev update, react. We're going to discuss. I'll bring in the voice chat on the Discord. So if you guys want to get involved in it, chop link in the description to be a part of the Discord. It's absolutely free to do so. Let's talk about a little bit of the bummer, and let's talk about the announcement. We do know this is crossplay, and how Jeff announced it, it did make it sound like it was a standalone game, and that's not the case. This is New World. If you own Rise of the Angry Earth, you get this upgrade for free. The expansion is required, otherwise you will have to purchase this. It is coming to Xbox Series X and S and the PS5, and I'm very curious as to see what the dev says, because we need some content in the game very, very badly. So welcome in, guys. Thank you so much, especially if you came over from the raid over on Ginger Prime. I'm very interested in your thoughts, both positive and negative. We can break that down and discuss this for the dev update. I'm going to kill the songs, the music. We're going to go ahead and get in. This is, I actually already have it, I think, wrong button, right here. And let's jump in. The announced dev update. Yep, 34 minutes. I'll like this depending on what they say. I usually pre-like, but it is what it is. All right, here we go.
Through the endless tides of time, they've come
like,
to
why,
these mythical shores,
why withhold
seeking
this
mastery
from the community?
over death.
Especially if we have to wait
itself.
till October. It's a beautiful trailer.
And beautiful paradise.
The music, I mean, like, New World's got a lot going for it.
Clash over the island's deepest
Yeah, it's
secrets.
kind of like a relaunch in a way.
Where ancient mysteries awaken.
The closed beta would be more for the consoles, I think. Final Fantasy did the same thing.
Where blades and bows unite. Where heroes are forged.
If it's cross progression, that's going to be a really big win. Crossplay that they've already confirmed that it has crossplay is great. But if it's cross prog, woo, baby.
And demons are born.
They did an incredible job on this trailer. It's beautiful.
Aeternum.
Let's go. I'm gonna pause it just one quick second, guys. I will not be doing any ads during this live stream, and if you guys could do me a favor, hit that like button and be sure to sound off in the live chat, as I would love to hear from you. If you want to get involved in the conversation, as long as there's time, I do need to do stuff with the kids and the family, but we're gonna go through this this post. We're gonna discuss it as and give us kind of our thoughts, kind of in a real-time kind of scenario. So thank you guys so much all for coming in and hanging out with me. All right. It's interesting that it's October because what do we do from now till October, right? Are they just like, go play something else, you know? And then the fact is I already have this version of the game.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the New World Aeternum Announcement Development Update. Announcement? Oh, that's right. We announced console.
Yay! I'm actually excited.
Not just console, but anyone who has the PC version of the game and purchased Rise of the Angry Earth is going to have access to all of this as well. So I'm here with Dave and Katie, and we're going to bring out the rest of the team in a little bit, and we're going to tell you about all the things coming in this, starting with storytelling. We're going to tell you the story of Aeternum. because it's kind of this crazy like lost island.
Yep.
And we're going to tell
We've
it
been
through
here.
enhanced dialogue system, IGCs, pre-rendered cutscenes.
Cool.
And then we're going to do other things, Dave.
Yeah, we're going to talk about navigating throughout the world, like this third-person, open roaming, mantling, jumping. What's great is it's like an open world you can explore. We're going to talk about the combat. It's action-based combat where distances, ranges, aiming, all that stuff matters. It's a very kinetic feeling combat.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll also talk about the soul trials, which after you've done your solo experience or, group experience if you like, but this is really geared towards the solo player. So once you've solo experience through.
They're really pushing that solo mindset. And that's the thing that really, like, I was going to be absolutely pissed if it was like a separate game. Like, hey, you guys enjoy New World, the MMO, enjoy New World, the single player game. Well, New World, MMOs are roughly single player games because you can enjoy those as you kind of wish. It'll be interesting though, because like, again, we didn't hear anything about Blue Protocol. We didn't hear anything about Throne of Liberty. It's just absolutely wild. The Kaiser says, so much people in the comments think console release is the only announcement, but they failed to communicate. We'll see, because maybe y'all have already seen all of this. I just came off of Summer Games Fest, so I'm gonna find out kind of in real time and as we kind of hang out. And what's up, Chemistral? Good to see you over here too, buddy. Oh man, I love seeing regulars. You guys are the best.
Through max level, you get to do this repeatable endgame content, which is super fun. We're going to dig into that. And then speaking of endgame, there's a big, broad endgame out there. So we're going to dig into the pieces of that, and I'm super excited for that section.
Yeah, now we're going to talk about just. Katie mentioned it's a solo or a multiplayer game, and because of that, we have a lot of effort on performance, making it performant for as many players as can get together or as few, and then a huge effort into just the overall quality of the game. So when you get it, the experience feels good. Now we're going to wrap it up by getting a bunch of the team members together, and we're going to talk about what's coming next. So why don't you just sit back, enjoy the ride, and have some fun.
I am.
Hey everybody. I'm Rob, and this is Nathan and Charles here to
Narrative
talk about
stuff.
Storytelling and really what is the world of Aeternum from a narrative perspective. And of course, this is an island. This is the island of legend. It's Eden. It's
It does feel
Shangri-La.
like that,
it's
Kristen,
Atlantis.
like a
it's a place.
brand
It's
new
a
game.
magical, supernatural island that's in the world that's persisted across history. And players quickly learn here that this is a place where you live forever. No one dies on Aeternum. But there's all kinds of magic and stuff that players are going to encounter as they come here from the old world. They set sail from the old world at the beginning of the game. And I think that kind of takes us into who are you?
Right.
Tell me.
Who are you, Charles? No, who's
are
the player?
you?
I think at the very beginning, the
Character
player is kind of
customization is absolutely
the
coming to
adventurer,
this.
the explorer, we kind of set it up so you can pick from your archetypes, because
If they do all of this and then we don't see some kind of like barber and character customization, like that's not my content. That's not my end game. That's not why I play MMOs. It's just, I feel like I'm the crazy one because I know that people will say fashion is the true end game. I do not fall into that category to save my life at all. But I do recognize that that is a big piece. And if they don't have something like that, because the character creation in this game has always seemed very, very limited. And it's obviously driven by gear and the cash shop gear specifically. But now we have the tokens as well, which is a big win. Regardless, yeah, like, oh my gosh, I hope it feels like it's just like right now, every bit of the marketing feels like, have you guys heard of this new game called New World Aeternum? It's coming out. Don't bother searching New World. It's New World Aeternum. You see what we did there? It's, NWA.
Because players come with different play styles from other games or other MMOs. So we wanted to kind of give the player a little bit of an open slate, but give them
archetypes. Holy
buckets
freak,
to
1 second. Hold on. So archetype, appearance, identity, world. Interesting. Trade skills. So they're kind of having these kind of pre-builts, and then as long as it doesn't lock you into that. Trade skills start with so it starts with a boost to jewelcraft, mining, and stone cutting. Occultist, a practitioner of the primal element arts, commanding the forces of frost and flame. That makes sense. Ice and fire staff. So they're streamlining the onboarding of these new characters.
Like, I want to be a healer, I want to be a priest, I want to be a soldier, I want to be an explorer, I'm a ranger. And so there's like kind of a starting off point for the player to latch onto their character, but then you customize your character and make it kind of whatever you want from there. But everybody starts with that, like you're this adventurer on this boat, sailing to this mythological, mysterious island, and it's sort of the game goes from there.
Yeah, you're on this expedition to explore this fantastical island, and as you sail in, disaster, catastrophic storm strikes. Like, pretty dramatic moment that we've realized in cinematics, and like it's huge.
What kind of stuff do you expect on this island? What can the player expect to discover or find as they go there?
I feel this is such a weird marketing move. They should have created 2 dev updates, or at least, hey guys, have you not heard of New World and you don't here's what this feels like it's for. And they should have a one like, all right, we know that we've been kind of like cock teasing you guys the entire time, and here is kind of the plan of how we're going to roll it out. Like, I literally feel like I'm being marketed to and not being educated.
You're going to meet characters from history, you're going to meet cultures from history, you're going to encounter ancient Romans, ancient Egyptians, you're going to brush up against characters straight out of Arthurian legend, like Sir Galahad. You're going to brush up against characters who are from real world history, like Grace O'Malley, in fact, one of your early friends is a Irish pirate of some renown. And each of these characters really gets a lot of attention. Like, we've really worked hard on making these characters both fun and interesting, and then also realizing the way they show up on Aeternum, the way that whatever they brought to the island, and then the way they've reacted to the reality of this place where no one dies and where mythologies come to life. Those characters are pretty. I feel really good about the way the characters have come out.
So I was going to add, there's also all the supernatural creatures and monsters and things you're going to have to deal with along. You meet these characters, but then they're part of these groups. Like the Corrupted is this horrible, dark, black, demonic stuff that seems to affect characters' minds, and it manifests in a bunch of ways. And then there's the Lost.
It's one of the things that actually Yamron, who you guys, if you've hung out on live streams, helps me kind of speak words correctly. Good, awesome dude. It's actually hanging out in voice chat, so I'll bring in the Discord chat as soon as we kind of get through this video. But he talked about how that they gave us that ultimate with corruption, and it's like they kind of just broke the lore. And so he was frustrated from that point forward.
They're almost like zombies. They're sort of losing their soul and their sense of self, and they become these sort of husks. Mm-hmm. And then there's Angry Earth, which is like the plant life of the island sort of coming to life and manifesting as creatures that are trying to drive out all these invasive forces that are sort of taking over parts of the island. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of range within that. All these different creatures you're going to sort of have to deal with and build different strategies and different armor and into sort of the nitty gritty of game mechanics.
And I think we do a really good job actually, like bringing the player through in our kind of first player experience. I think it's quite really elevated. It's a cinematic experience, really. All these vignettes along the way that we've kept in game as well, and just breadcrumbing the player through the different parts of lore that are going to make more sense as they get past this process. But we did a good job with that.
Mm-hmm. See chat saying like 0 content for an entire year. If that's the case, what the F? Thank goodness there isn't a subscription fee, right? Like that in and of itself is somewhat like, you can sit here and say, well, like if I was paying a sub, what the F am I paying for versus, like, all right, but we should have another season coming out soon, right? There should be summer with the summer medley fair. We should see new content. And if they're saving all of that content for this, man, it's a great time to get into No Rest for the Wicked as an early access, PAX Day. Thank goodness there's other games. I've been playing Elden Ring. I'm trying to, I want to beat Elden Ring and be a man. Oh my goodness.
Shifting allies who become enemies, conflicts between the characters, like a lot of these come to life, especially in the ways that we've enhanced the storytelling since this game launched on PC a few years ago, where now we have cinematics, many of them. We have an enhanced dialogue system, like the conversation experience is way more cinematic than it used to be, and those characters come to life like never before.
Yeah, and I think we've done actually quite an impressive job in using multiple mediums, I think, with our cinematics and cutscenes. You know, we've got storybook, illustrative animatics, you know, that
I like the
that I think are
animatics.
quite relatable, especially, you know, when we're exploring, you know, really old characters that are pulled from old literature. You know, I think that's a really nice way to communicate that. And then we have our in-game cinematics too, you know, that are bridging the narrative elements between our gameplay, and everyone knows what cinematics are. But I think I'm really proud with what we've done is, you know, we're really from, you know, talking to the players from old, you're really going to see a brand new experience here.
I do feel they've been putting a lot of investment into kind of the lore and the story and the presentation of that, which I actually really appreciate. But yeah, like and if there isn't really like anything that's gonna like carry us to October, then why all the secrecy? Like, what was the yeah, like we kind of all figured it out. I've been saying that it's gonna be happening for a long time now. Why the secrecy? Anyway, guys, thank you so much for the 19 likes. I appreciate y'all.
It's really lifted the narrative.
Ooh, 20.
I think it's great.
Yeah, from the ship to certainly when you shipwreck onto the island now, you're seeing a whole different, you're seeing
It's
this
a whole new
paradise
yeah.
kind of place at first, or it seems that way.
Yes, I would say it's like a whole new experience. The beginning of the game, I think, brings you into the story. It really sets up all the different factions and characters you're going to deal with. It sets up a lot of the initial mysteries that you're trying to figure out as a player. I think it sort of kicks the game off with a bang.
So much effort's gone into this mission with, you know, New World Aeternum in lifting up the narrative systems in the game and the narrative as a whole. And I think we've really kind of reached high and have successfully got there, you know, and you must have some favorite moments.
Yeah, there's almost too many to list, but I think what we've done with some of the character introductions, and like Grace O'Malley pops to mind, like very near the beginning of the game, the players are going to bump into this Irish pirate named Grace O'Malley, and you know, you walk up and she's on the top of her ship shooting left and right and killing corrupted as they come on her, and it's an awesome scene. And it really depicts who Grace is. She's kind of this badass. She's carrying on a conversation with you while it goes on, and that becomes, I think, part of why she's such a great buddy for the player as you go forward from here. And like that's just the tip of the iceberg, though. I mean, there's so many great character moments and characters that you get to meet, and I think we have a lot going on with all that. We're super excited for you to come in and experience the world of Aeternum, meet the characters we've created. Experience this game that's radically different than what came out on PC 3 years ago. So come on in, have fun with us.
All right, let's dive into combat navigation next. I'm joined by Maldo
Combat
and JR.
navigation, all right.
Let's start out with navigation. Tell us a little bit about what it's like to
rewriting it.
navigate in Aeternum.
Sure, yeah. So we actually just rebuilt navigation from the ground up for Aeternum. And that meant redoing all the animations. And the way the game controls is it's very much like other action RPGs that you've played. So you can run around in all directions, regardless of camera. It's not locked behind you. And the game features a lot of verticality, a lot of like ledges and things.
I love that about
So
this
we
game.
also have there's like a traversal system. So we have like mantling, we have like vaulting over objects. And that was, just helps with like the smoothness of moving throughout the world.
Nice. And the jump, have we done any work on the jump lately?
Yeah, actually. So again, we also redid the jump, and that was largely because we have lots of jumping puzzles in the game. The world designers like to add lots of verticality, as I mentioned. And so there's lots of climbing, and there's lots of like jumping on this narrow ledge sort of gameplay. And so we wanted to improve the jump, give it a little more control in the air to help out there.
And last but not least, what about water? What happens when you hit water?
Yeah, so water, the expectation is that you either swim, or float. You don't sink, right? So in Aeternum, you also float, but you can also swim. So and that is a new feature that we just added for this new launch.
Awesome. And Dave, I know you've been spending a lot of time on how it feels to play with a controller in your hand. So how's it feeling?
It's great. It's great. It feels very natural, super smooth. It's a bit of a challenge. There's just the sheer number of things that you can do in the game. Just changing your stance, swapping weapons, special abilities, everything all on the fly, target locking, switching targets. But it's it feels really solid right now, very natural. We've got some good default setups already that people can choose, but anybody who wants to get super specific.
This looks like a brand new complete opening right here. So what we're looking at right here, you see where they're kind of putting in the things instead of on the beach after the shipwreck. This looks like your ship is coming in if you're a new character, and you're being boarded and raided and whatnot. Which honestly, I think that would be that seems cool. Like I'm not gonna knock it. Like the new player experience is an important aspect to all of that.
Specific and noodle around and rebind keys to be, their favorite control setup. They can do that too.
Yeah, I think you've started to hit it. It just feels natural when I'm playing it these days. Like I run around and it does what I expect it to do, which is great. Nice. Well, let's jump into combat a little bit. Tell us what fighting in combat is like in Aeternum.
Yeah, so it's an action RPG, and that extends to the combat. So everything is very action oriented. Everything is based on like positioning and hitboxes and timing. There's no auto attack in the game, so it's every button press is a swing or.
One of the things that when you see I see a lot of opinions, especially as it relates to the state of MMOs, being an MMO channel, which helps. But it's that I see a lot of people wanting all these games, like Throne of Liberty, to have an action combat system. Is it action combat? Oh, it turns out it's tab target. All right, so. New World still has that. Like, in fact, it has it where when people are like, if they're looking for an action MMORPG, like New World, they've, even with the issues, I felt like their combat has always been very interesting and dynamic. Not as like something we would say with Elden Ring, but you can see that some of that inspiration was there. And if they can go and continue that further and bring that all together, because you can see already here the enhanced UI looking like they've kind of moved things around. It does look like rapier and musket is here, so I still think and would assume that they'll let you pick any weapon combinations that you want. But getting started, you're locking yourself into a weapon setup specifically.
An ability. And at the core of the combat is your weapon, and your weapon determines your class in Aeternum. And you can have two weapons. So
confirmation.
The game basically revolves around, you get your weapon, you apply.
Chat says this might just be the console UI, and you might be right, Lewis. It would be interesting to see if they gave us the options to customize our UI. I think that could actually be something really cool to see.
You have unlockable abilities, so each weapon has 3 abilities that can be slotted at any time out of 6 possible choices. There's also like passives, and you can choose these as you play, as you attack, as you earn XP, and you can spend that XP to unlock.
Yeah. Now I love like that sort of feeling of progression you get with your weapons, and like you mentioned, having 2 of them is super fun, right? Like I love like setting up a combo with one weapon, then switching to my damage weapon to sort of get the big execute move. So it's super fun to swap between them.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's something that we spend a lot of time on is making sure that all works, that all does what you expect, and that it can support both like a light level of play and like high level of play for like the most skilled players.
Awesome. Dave, what about combat on your side? Anything that has been adjusted or changed lately that you think is really helping out combat?
Yeah, I think the biggest, kind of most noticeable addition lately has been all the hit reaction stuff that we've put in. So we want to be really careful with PvP, because PvP is kind of a big and exciting, optional, but big and exciting part of Aeternum. But you can't have players just being tumbled and knocked over and sliding around, every time they get hit with a great axe or something. But for enemies doing PvE content, it's absolutely fantastic. You want that weight, you want those meaty thwacks, you want to see them being, hurled into the bushes by what you're doing, whether it's, throwing fireballs at them or swinging a huge hammer around, and that's made the game just feel fantastic.
Yeah, I agree. I've played it, and it definitely changes up that solo PvE experience, and it feels great. JR, what about any sort of assists we've added for combat that are worth mentioning?
Yeah, sure. So I didn't mention, but you control the camera with your right stick, which is typical. But our game has a lot of aiming, right? A lot of positional things. So we wanted to help you out with that aiming by giving you target lock. So target lock is an option. Nice. You can swap targets with the right stick when you're engaged in target lock. But target lock isn't like a win option. It's like there's like our projectiles still have travel time. So If your target's moving quickly, you might still miss. But we
And
also
it targets the chest, right? So you don't get headshots.
That's
as well.
true. Yeah. So if you want headshots, you need to aim down sights and like and try to hit the head. But also worth mentioning is aim assist. So that was also something we added to help with aiming out both in and out of target lock.
Okay, I thought he was.
I
About
think
to
the
confirm
combat
aim
and
assist to
navigation has
PvP.
really come together. I think the teams really worked hard to get it to feel natural. I know
it's
I'm
kinda
having
like
a blast
that, but-
playing it, and I think you all will too.
It's gonna.
Let's dig into gathering and our trade skill system. I'm joined by Dan and Patrick. Dan, why don't you kick us off and sort of introduce us into how you get introduced into all this?
I think so. In chat, Chronix GG says makes me 100% blocked out of the game by October 15th. I think how I'm interpreting that, and you can let me know if I'm in the right ballpark. But yeah, like if there isn't anything content-wise, if there isn't meat on the bone, don't starve. Like go find something fun to enjoy, and then be excited because this is a kind of a soft relaunch. They didn't put Reborn, a Realm Reborn on top of the name New World, but New World Aeternum has that same almost Realm Reborn. Oh, I guess Realm Reborn has 4 syllables. It is what it is. Anyway, that's what we do here. We clap and count syllables. And this is the best MMO content on the internet.
Part of our game.
Yeah, absolutely. New World is kind of a game where you do awesome combat and you do questing, but then there's also so many side activities. Right away in the game, you get a skinning knife and you hunt a boar and you cook it at a fire for food. You get another tool called a sickle and you use that to harvest herbs nearby.
Have
the whole
you never
world,
heard of this game?
It's
Who
this
are
kind
you
of place
talking
where
to?
everything there is ripe for the taking, and you use it. And as you cut plants and cook things, your cooking skill goes up, your harvesting skill goes up. It's just kind of addicting all by itself, and you frequently just forget that you're questing, and you spend
You
an
veer
hour
off.
it's great.
One of my favorite is when you chop down a tree, right? Like I love going into an area and seeing someone have deforested the whole place.
That loud, echoey, it's great.
So Patrick, why don't you give us an overview of our trade skills? Like what types are there? How many are there? Give us an overview here.
Yeah, for sure. So I think when looking at New World Aeternum's trade skills, there's 3 real pillars to look at. First, you have your gathering trade skills. So
Good Lord, I agree with chat. I feel like we're getting trolled right now. And it's just, again, like I said earlier, and welcome in everybody. Thanks so much for being here. The literal, this is them talking to an entirely new audience. And that's great. They need to have something that talks to their current player base. And I'm not getting that. I'm getting subtle hints in what they're showing. And I can then deduce what, what we're seeing here. But geez, la freaking wheeze.
Logging, mining, skinning, things of that nature, where you're going out in the world and you're finding resources and harvesting those resources. What's really cool about that is as you progress through the world, so too does the items that you're gathering.
Chat's asking, can anyone see themselves sitting on a couch and playing this game? Yes. I do that actually all the time through GeForce Now, so 100%.
So instead of mining iron early on, later you're finding mithril or calcum, star metal, all these really cool looking nodes in the world to go find. So that's gathering. Once I've gathered a lot of cool resources, I bring them back to town. And when we're in town, we enter the refining part of the trade skill loop. So this is smelting, weaving, other trade skills that let you refine those goods you've gathered into usable goods for the crafting portion, which is the 3rd pillar here. That's the actual crafting part of trade skills. So outfitting, weaponsmithing, engineering, arcana, cooking, there's a number of other ones as well. All of these let me take those refined goods and craft them into really cool, usable items.
Nap.
And
Wake me
in
up,
most cases,
guys,
these
when
items
they
are pretty powerful
say something
too.
interesting.
So if you're entering gathering and crafting as a early game player, you're making some pretty, I don't know if we can say badass, but pretty badass.
Yeah, if chat's asking if it's crossplay, they have confirmed that it is crossplay. I don't know if they're confirming cross save, and cross save would be cool, personally speaking, but we'll see.
Gear that's going to really carry you throughout those levels and make you much more powerful. So it's super exciting. It's one of my favorite parts of our game.
Yeah, and one of the great things in New World Aeternum is there's a trading post, right? So like when you make this stuff, then you can sell it to other players or players can buy it for you, and it creates this sort of player-driven economy, which is really cool.
Which is key to the game too. Like our player-driven economy, I think, is one of the things that really sets us out on the market and makes New World Aeternum just so unique. So you can find your niche in that world as that crafter and make a ton of coin and become a very powerful person on your realm by going about and crafting.
Awesome. Well, those are sort of some of the core trade skill. Any other ones you want to talk about, Dan, and highlight?
Yeah, I mean, the system lets us do other cool stuff that's like we have musical instruments. You get a fishing pole, and like there's all these like beautiful bodies of water, and like the graphics are amazing. So the sun's setting over the water, and you're fishing. Whoa. It's just like it's wonderful. There's riding, so you get your mount, and the more you ride your mount, and the more activities you do with your mount, your riding skill increases, which gives you speed and other power-ups.
And then we're going to be talking a little more about Endgame, but this crafting loop also plays into the Endgame a little bit, doesn't it, Patrick?
Yeah, crafting is massive with our Endgame. We'll talk more about that later, but as an Endgame crafter, you're creating some of the most powerful items in our game. Like I said, as you level up and increase your trade skill, it gets more powerful with you. So Endgame crafting lets you create the best items in the game to exactly the specification that you want to create. It's a really cool way to tie kind of the broader world into a lot of those Endgame activities that we'll cover later.
Yeah, that control you get out of crafting is a big part of it.
Yeah, it's big. And then one of the other pieces there too is the aptitude system. So the end of crafting, level 250, isn't the end of crafting. Now you can keep going and grind even more levels that will just never.
Can we get the aptitude system for player experience and weapons, please? As I've even been told by some of the devs, they want that too. And I'm like, come on.
End, so I can become the most detailed crafter on my server in weaponsmithing and get great rewards out of that as well.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining in this deep dive onto crafting and gathering. I think, what makes it special for me is like what you were talking about. Like, there's such a density in the world of New World Aeternum. There's always something to do. You can gather this, mine this. It keeps you busy. It's super fun.
It's hard to stay on track.
Dylan, you're a freaking legend, says the new content was the friends that we made along the way. Tip of the freaking hat, sir. That makes my day.
Back.
Yeah,
there's so much stuff to do.
Hey there, New World Aeternum players. I'm here to talk to you about Soul Trials. So you've already heard a little bit about our combat, and Soul Trials are where you get to put some of that combat to work. So what is a Soul Trial exactly? Well, if you like to play solo, more by yourself than in any of our team fights, then Soul Trials are going to be really exciting for you. That's your opportunity to fight one-on-one with combatants in New World, and it's also a really good opportunity to showcase some of the Aeternum story. So I'm here with Rob, who's going to tell you a little bit about that.
Yeah, what's so cool is, I mean, when we first started this, we were only able to do a couple of these, but like, now we've got them in almost like all the big moments of the story have these great climactic fights where oftentimes you're facing up against characters you've met somewhere else in the world, and now you're having this showdown with them in this awesome instance, and they've got all these special moves, and there's a lot of challenge in the fight. And it's kind of cool because it's something that I haven't seen done in an MMO before.
Yeah, and it takes you to a lot of different worlds. You get to go into the world of corruption, you get some heartbreaking moments, and a lot of different environments. There's a lot of artistic storytelling too.
For sure. These are kind of like Capstone spaces, I think, too, visually, because it's a very controlled space. You're going into this basically like one-on-one arena against whatever the bad is that you're facing. And I think we tried to really make them visually be that Capstone as well. Like we really want to ratchet up that drama so it feels like this climactic moment that you have to deal with in the story, and then you progress.
We're going to talk about the bait and switch that I see people talking about in chat in just a little bit, but Jeremiah asks, is this still an MMO? Yeah, it's still an MMO. When Jeff Knightley made the announcement, it sounded like it was a standalone single player game. What they're highlighting is that you can play as a single player, which is a real big push within the MMO space. So while I think and have made the case that MMOs should be multiplayer, obviously from the business perspective, we see that push, and that can always be a little bit thing. I call them MSOs, massively single player online. But yeah, that is what it is. But I want to we'll come back to the bait and switch once we kind of finish the entire video. I'd like to kind of, give my thoughts on that.
progress on to the open world and do other things. But I think they got a lot of extra attention visually.
And it's super exciting too, now that they are repeatable at Endgame. Like you could play these things as many times as you like, which I think was something that we really wanted, since so much attention was put into making these fights interesting. Like to be able to replay them and kind of perfect your approach, I guess, strategically.
Yeah. Even back to some of the ones that players may have missed. So if you're just joining us now and you didn't get a chance in some of the earlier seasons, some of the temporary trials are going to be coming back. So whether you're a new or returning player, you're going to get a chance to play all of
They need to keep those in the game. And the dumbest thing, and I don't know why we've seen devs move into this content that expires. Why are you investing that time and money and resources and then it's gone? I cannot fathom it. It does not make sense to a life that we all have. Like, what do they expect us to be? All of us be Asmongold and play however long we want? That's just not practical, right? Stop taking content away. Stop building an artificial FOMO into these games.
All of those unique fights that we have to offer.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the end game and some of the rewards you'll get from this Soul Trials?
Yes, so Soul Trials are a really good chance to play a solo gameplay. You've got your expeditions and team fights, but you've also got really great gameplay just on your own. And you can still get all of the great loot that you can get in all of the group and team content. You can still get some great loot in the solo content. As far as Endgame goes, we're going to hand that off to the next group to talk about that.
Patrick, why don't you kick us off with what is Endgame?
Yeah, so in New World, when you've reached level 65 and completed your main story quest, you enter the part of the game we call Endgame. At this point, you're starting to chase higher gear score, go and conquer different challenges, harder content, and that's when the game really starts to open up to like a broad variety of activities.
Yeah, that's what I like about it, because the story is a little bit more linear. You follow a set path, but when you hit Endgame, like the choices are so vast.
Absolutely.
So Dan, why don't you talk a little bit about some of those early choices? So I just entered early Endgame. What are some things I might be doing?
Yeah, I would say so. The game kind of starts to open up a little bit just before you hit max. So like you'll get access to Outpost Rush. You'll get access to arenas.
What is Outpost Rush for new players?
Sure, Outpost Rush is so we have a few kind of instance game modes on offer, both PvE and PvP. Outpost Rush is a PvP 20v20. Kind of like, capture the point in battle game mode. It's pretty cool. Then we have arenas, which that's 3v3 PvP. But like a lot of it's a lot more organic than just the instance stuff, obviously. So like, one of the things that I like to do is like once you kind of get to max level, then you kind of, start focusing on your skills. We have, I don't even know how many trade skills we have, but you can max all those out. You can do musical performances and max those out. Yeah. Fishing, you can go around the world and do elite chest runs. Mm-hmm. You can do portals.
And what are portals? Because portals are fun if you're new to the game.
Yeah, so portals are they're kind of cool because you see them in early game. Like the world just kind of turns red and tries to kill you all of a sudden. Then later, when you're like super powerful, you can come back to these random kind of like throughout the world, the kind of corruption takes over and starts to invade your reality. And you can like take them on solo. You can try, or you can get a group and go in and farm them out for resources and cool gear.
Yeah, what I like about that is there's something for everyone, right? If you're a total solo player, you got Soul Trials. So true. If you want to play with big groups, you got things like Invasions. Mm-hmm. If you want to play with a smaller group, you didn't mention much about the expeditions, our dungeon-like experiences.
Yep, that's another good example of like you start experiencing those through leveling, and then when you get to max level, they all become available.
Nice. So let's say I've been playing a little bit now, Patrick, and I'm nearing more of like the mid to late end game. Tell me a little bit about that.
Sure thing. So kind of going off that PvP, PvE split. As a PvP player, as Dan already mentioned, you have Outpost Rush, which is a great intro. If you want to take that a step further and really hone in on coordination, you hop into our War mode. This is 50v50, epic siege of a fort, and offers pretty great rewards. Other options for PvP players include the reward track. So all of the PvP you're doing gives you a PvP experience, which leads me to the PvP reward track, which has awesome rewards on it. Great opportunity to get gear up to gear score 700, some unique artifacts. And then on the PvE side of things, we have mutated expeditions. So those, the dungeon-like experience we just talked about, there's harder variants of that, so M1, M2, and M3, with M3 offering the very best gear for those experiences up to gear score 695 to 700.
This is
really great
consoles is the
opportunity
right
to coordinate
call.
with a small group of people and take on a pretty difficult
This
challenge
marketing is
as those
just
change week to week. Other big opportunity
very
there for the PvE side is the raid. So yeah, introducing New World's first linear raid, so 3 bosses, each boss progressively harder than the last, and they require pretty elaborate teamwork from a group of 10 players to get the highest gear score gear in the game, capping out at gear score 725. So the raid is a super unique experience, and I'm beyond excited for players to hop into that one.
There we go. New content.
Yeah.
What about on the
October.
PvP side? Anything new else that you want to mention?
There is a free-for-all area coming for the PvP experience. So this will be an opportunity to hop into this as a one-off player. It's very
That was in the leaks as well, so it's like, yeah, that definitely confirms the leaks and the leak content for sure. So yeah, happy there's a raid that's good content. That I think that's going to be really exciting to see. I think they make some incredible expa dungeons, and yeah, I'm excited to see what that means. And then a free-for-all PvP zone sounds interesting if it's good. We will find out.
different from anything we've built in New World. This experience allows you to go kill other players, loot chests, kill enemies, and get what we call mystic doubloons out of it. Taking those doubloons to a shop lets you buy some of the best gear in the game, and it's a really thrilling experience, gets the heart going, and I'm really excited to see how players like it.
Yeah, I think it's fun whether you want to be a killer and look for people, and also I'm more of like a gatherer. I love going around trying to get all the chests or gather stuff and then run out before someone gets me.
Yeah, and I love to kill the people doing exactly that, so it's super fun.
It kills me a lot. So Dan, I'm a new player. So much fun stuff to do. Is there any way to sort of help me find all this fun stuff?
Absolutely. So, I mean, a lot of these, you can access these from the map as you explore through the leveling experience, but then also from the menu, there's a screen called Activity Finder, which kind of like, it's a one-stop shop for all these activity types, and it gives you access to the matchmaking pool, which, we have a few different varieties of how you can matchmake, including just like a, click, and then it enters the system and finds you a group to play with.
Yeah, and now we have some actual matchmaking in some of the modes, like in arenas, which I think will be big.
Yeah, it definitely is going to help a lot. Make
If
sure
that
that the game
wasn't
is like kind of at your right
part of
challenge
this,
level.
like, what the freak? Let's
So
go.
what if I'm like not into all this power progression and
Cross
up-leveling
server
my gear? Is there anything for me to do in the endgame?
I
Patrick?
interpret that.
So everyone knows the most important endgame feature is fashion. So there's
Gosh,
transmog.
I hate that.
There's thousands of
I
appearances
know I'm
in
the
New
odd
World that I
duck
can go
out.
chase. When I get an item, I unlock that appearance in my collection, and then I can transmog that appearance into a wearable piece of armor.
There's a video format for what we're witnessing that I think goes over so much, and it's everything that's changed in New World, and then it literally can walk you through all of these things and break down all the different changes, etc. This is it's like if New World hadn't launched 2 years ago. I guess it'll be 3 years, by the time this edition comes out. You're going to see fresh start servers. You're going to see a huge marketing campaign behind this. The numbers are probably going to be staggering, and that's why we saw the sharding system, and I think they're going to spend this summer really, condensing the servers down because people are just going to go do other things for the time being. I think you might see some people jump in anticipation, but this update has to have something for like max level players, and that's one of the things that the game just it's generous. It gives you the things that you want pretty dadgum quickly, and then you're like, cool, I did the thing, all right, let's see what happens.
That I can slot onto any piece of gear I have equipped. So if I really like this cool eye patch I find, I can transmog that and change any helmet I have into that cool eye patch. The other side of things is housing. Housing in New World is pretty robust, and we have a lot of really rare housing items, such as a goldfish bowl, that you can go find throughout the world. And if you find those, they're awesome collector's items. They sell for a ton of coin, and they're pretty prestigious items to find. So go and hunt down that cool fashion, that cool housing items, and it's an awesome solo end game right there.
Awesome. Hey, well, thanks for joining me to talk about the end game. I really love this part about New World Aeternum. It's where the game opens up. You sort of get to find your own path. What do you like to do? I think there's something for everyone to enjoy here in the end game.
Are they announcing a new
Hey
weapon?
everybody, I'm Scott, and I'm joined today by Dave and Andy, and we're going to talk about the performance and quality improvements in New World Aeternum. So I think we can all agree, like, our game feels the most fun when you're playing with lots and lots of people in the world, and it feels full and populated. What are some of the things we've been working on to give us that feeling when you're playing the game?
Sure. So first thing, we're adding crossplay support to console. It's going to roll out on Xbox and PlayStation.
If they didn't do crossplay, it would be such a curse because you can't do multiplayer where it's segmented. It just doesn't. It's not what players come to expect because we'll all just go play the games with our friends where we're not doing that, and the numbers show that people aren't playing all the new games. They're spending 65-70% of the time played is all in games that are 6 years and older.
PlayStation. And really what this is going to do is make the worlds feel more alive. You're going to be able to play with your friends.
I really hope the devs follow this up on Monday with the Forged and Aeternum talking to us, the active players, about what to expect over the course of the next couple of months. Because if it is just that bare, honestly, there's a gift there. You know, like if I'm gonna sit here and huff the hopium and think about the positive side of it is I've got a killer backlog of games that I'm enjoying. Elden Ring, there's obviously Final Fantasy XIV's expansion, the PAX Day early access is kicking off. We're going to be having some fun with that. No Rest for the Wicked. Again, I can't stop praising that game. I really enjoy it. So if thinking about it, it's like, well, if I can sit here and go do other things and not, there's nothing that I'm missing out on, well then sweet.
It's on multiple platforms. You can make quests with them, play together on everything you would be able to do on PC. So we think, with crossplay being reintroduced with console, it's going to feel like a great experience.
Nice. And so when we have all these Xbox and PlayStation and PC players playing together, we need to make sure that we can put them all in the same world and stuff. So what kind of tech have we added to help with kind of like our population density?
So we've added both tech to get you into the game faster, so that we can eliminate any queues at the beginning of the game to get people in there, as well as tech to allow players to be a lot more dense, so you can have more people in combat at the same time in the same area.
All right, so then the queuing tech that you're talking about, like it's going to apply no matter how many people are waiting to play. We're going to be able to get them in right away.
Yeah, our goal is to get a large volume of players into the worlds that they choose as fast as possible, so they can enjoy New World Aeternum.
The biggest thing that if they don't solve that, then people are going to try and play it, and then they're going to be like, why am I waiting in a queue? All right, I'm just going to go over and do here. And so I would say for anybody on Mac, though, I would recommend, GeForce Now, because it runs on Mac and you can stream New World today. And it's honestly, and I'm not sponsored by GeForce Now, but I absolutely adore that service. It is the one reason why, as a father of 6 kids, and a busy husband and provider for the family, I'm still able to game because I can sit here and play on any screen in my house, depending on how it works. And GeForce Now does have New World. New World's been on GeForce Now since the start.
And if that world's not available, then we're going to allow you to select the world of your choice so that you can immediately play the game.
That's awesome. And so that's a lot of optimization work we've done and iteration on the combat experience and different kind of like key experiences when like lots of people are in town, lots of people are in combat, things like that, to make it so that we can show all of that at like good frame rates and like basically we want it to play great and it will. So then on the visual side, what are some of the other big features that players can look forward to?
Sure. So there's been a lot of work that's been done on the game to help just with asset loading and optimization as a whole across the game. And really this all goes towards the benefit of improving performance on console. The engine has gone through an overhaul, and we've added 4K support, HDR support. Really what that means is on your console, when you're playing on your big screen TV, it's going to look great. So a lot of time and effort's gone into just making it feel like a brand new engine when you play on console. Well, it is a brand new engine, essentially.
And PC players are going to be able to take advantage of that as well.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, that's all we've got for today. We could dive deeper into the weeds, but we'll save that for future videos. We'll have deeper dives into this and other topics. And with all these improvements, the game is going to feel great, and we can't wait for you all to play it. So thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks everybody. We covered so much, but there's still a lot more to talk about.
Yeah, there's
On
a
top of
lot
that, we
to
are just
talk
so
about.
excited to bring Aeternum to all of you console and PC players around the world. Stay tuned for more information, including updates on closed beta. But other than that, we will see you
in Aeternum!
All right. First and foremost, bring back Fluffy Dogs with this $20 super chat. Says, I played New World for around 2 years since launch. I really enjoyed some aspects of it, but it didn't appeal to me with the season additions. This announcement isn't drawing me back in. It is clearly geared towards new people only. Such a shame. And for people like that. So it's cool to see YouTube's rolling out some updates to the system here. So thank you for that super chat. I appreciate that. All right. Cool. All right. So is this a bait and switch? Like, console support is absolutely critical. And what we'll do, just to make this lightly visually more entertaining, console support is the smart choice. It's going to be the smart choice. They've already signaled that they were going to do console support with Lord of the Rings Online. We know that is something that they're working towards and building. And so it just makes sense to take New World, how you have it now, invest in the engine, improve it, and make it to where more people can play your action MMO RPG. And I think that's going to benefit the players. It's going to benefit the world. It's going to take away kind of the narrative that the player population isn't there. It also, in my mind, pushes back against the narrative that Amazon isn't supporting this game. However, the big bait and switch, the big almost FU to the active players is all of this cock teasing that they have just given. We can't tell you about the June announcement. We can't tell you about the June announcement. And I said at the time, and I stand by it, while I do think the June announcement is console, and I was correct in that, I said it needs to be also married with like actual content that people can like dive into this summer. We got none of that. That is not here for us. And it literally is saying, go take a break. And that's actually a healthy way like to play MMORPGs, but that in and of itself feels like just like with the last video where they were like, oh, and you're going to be able to bleep, bleep, and bleep, bleep, bleep. It's like, no, that doesn't make any sense. What are you guys doing? It feels like they have literally lost their understanding and their communication that I thought they have been building and doing so well, both with the Forged in Aeternum series and even the dev updates. But with the last season, they brought in things, quality of life things that the game needed, but it didn't bring in any content, and the player number reflects that. Content is king. It will remain king. And where's the content? Where's the things that are going to get people playing over the course of the summer? Now, maybe they exist, right? We can all, I'm not going to sit here and doom and gloom it, because next week they could sit down and say, hey, now that we've done the announcement, let's talk about what you're going to be playing up until then, right? And that's good. That's going to be talking to the current player base. But they teased it. They talked about it like the new player base and the current player base were going to get something out of it. And if you are a current player and you got everything that you wanted out of this announcement, I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. And with that, guys, I'm going to bring in our Discord chat.
Are shit.
Dude, that was awful. Like, that was the worst cock tease that I've seen to date. Like, what the hell?
Just the tip. Just the tip. So just so you know, I'm going to refresh this real quick.
Yeah.
Okay. So the original video, I know you don't have this extension, but the original video has 331 likes, 615 dislikes. It's ratioed. And basically everything, all the comments that I've seen are just WTF, you guys suck. RIP game. So people are like, your poll is actually a little bit like, if you combine the not happy and the meh, yeah, that's about accurate.
Right. But that's why I put it in both, because it's like,
yeah,
you know, three tiers of emotion. But we also how many? Oh, 303 votes. Wow, thank you guys for voting in the poll.
Like,
so that's a good representation of everybody here. And thanks guys for the 59 likes, by the way.
So
But, like,
Brian, which
I've also
side are you
been-
on?
I'm not happy. There
Yeah,
was
I didn't sound
now
like you were.
I but I'm still like, yes, bring it to consoles, yes. But when it's all said and done, like I'm writing a comment here, like where's the communication to your players? Because New World, this isn't a new game. And then Jeff totally butched like that, whereas I was like, are you effing kidding me? Like, are you seriously gonna say, hey, we're not gonna have, like, we're just gonna go with the standalone RPG? No, that's not the case. It is still an MMO. It is crossplay, which is a big win. If they didn't do crossplay, I'd be like, what the hell? But there's a victory here. But the question is that you've literally told people, like, hey, on June 7th, you know how you've been really hungry? I've got pizzas and I've got steaks and I got
brownies.
I got brownies and we got beer and whatever you have been just like denying yourself. And then it's like, hey, it's October. And what are you going to eat between now and October?
Yeah.
Nothing. You know, at least nothing right now.
Like, yeah. I mean, I'm reading I've been reading your chat every so often, and it's just everyone's not happy. Like, James Logan says, is this like a FF14 A Realm Reborn sort of thing, or is it a separate game?
This is actually a kind of a Realm Reborn kind of thing, except for the content that exists is still there, as opposed to like you can't go play 1.0. Here you'll be in the world and you'll be able to experience it in and of itself. And yeah, you won't be able to technically play like how the game was when it launched, but no MMO truly does that. Like, you're not actually ever able to play through Shadowbringers. The narrative persists, but the game is completely different. And then we see that with the jobs and all the different, changes that they bring in. And you can see my Italian heritage is just in us. I'm just moving my hands around because I can't.
You're Italian, it's fine.
Got to sit on my hands, and then I just sit here quietly.
Yeah, I get you, man.
Ginger Italian.
It's fine. He can be Italian.
Yeah. Well,
Italians are cool people.
We are. We are. We have some amazing food. Like Italians and Mexicans,
Italians
I
have
swear,
arguably,
are
like,
the best.
The best European food.
Yeah.
Like, I will.
Don't tell the French that. Or the Germans.
The French, all the French do is just add butter. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, they don't, like, and
I
everything is like
will-
all fancy, truffle
I will
oil
on the
and
New World thing
nails
say,
and
as
shit,
a
and just, like,
potential player, I'm happy. But if you're an established player who's been waiting for this content for such a long time, and the content is, oh, we've remade the game, but it's not for you.
yeah, I'm
Right.
So
It sounds
after-
like that what this is. It feels like it's a invitation to anybody who hasn't kept up with the game in a long time, and it also feels like, hey, did you want to check out this game? It's now on consoles, making it more accessible.
I have to agree to your point here on temporary content. Why are they doing it?
Oh, dude, that like, and then he's like, we still kind of believe in it. It doesn't make sense from a technical perspective. Chat was asking me earlier, as a developer, how would I have handled this differently? I think it's fine to have this announcement, but what they should have done prior to this is sit down with the community and kind of walk us through it, because they could have had a more intimate conversation with the community and then had this more public, like, hey, and by the way, tomorrow we're going to have this, and it's going to be really tailored to players who haven't kept up with the game or maybe new potential players, and that's going to be for them. But they didn't give us anything. They haven't given us content. They haven't given us, I would say a level of respect, being that I was still also frustrated by their whole bleeping out, like, oh, we're so excited, but we're gonna, like, I get they were going for humor, but I'm a comedian. Sometimes my jokes suck, and that sucked. It's like, geez, the freaking
that
ways.
joke was not even that video was not even funny.
That's like, I write a lot of jokes, and then it's like, it's always fun to go test them out. And sometimes I'm like, oh, that people found that word to be the funny word. I was thinking it was here. And sometimes I'm like, and that's just scrapped. I haven't been able to figure out how to make certain things work, and that's fine. That's the part of the process, right? But I'm not teasing you guys to be like, guys, my Netflix special is coming. No, it's not anytime soon.
So Morocco has a question.
Yes.
They say, so what they're hearing is this announcement means they can play the game with their brother who has a PS5, but the game is going to feel the exact same since like the DLC came out.
I don't think so, because they did confirm the raids. They did confirm like a free-for-all area. So they did talk about, but they didn't show it. So it's so easy to miss. It's so easy to miss. But it does sound like we are getting new content and new modes and things like that. But they didn't show it off. And that in and of itself just makes you go, oh, it looks like the same game. But yeah, the good news, though, is that if you already have the content, like I do, I don't have to purchase this. But it will basically make it so that...
Well, I would need to pick up the expansion in order to just
right.
upgrade
The
to
expansion,
it.
the expansion, if you have the expansion on your account, it ensures that you have this version. And it makes sense, because it's like, okay, but they gotta give us something, right? Like... if summer is just the summer medley fair with no new additions, WTF, man? Like, what the hell?
Dude, I'm telling you, at first I was happy with what they were saying, and then I'm like, actually, they're not really adding anything new. It's just a new player experience thing.
New player experience, I think, is good. You can see it kind of played out here,
which is fine. But like, as someone who has been looking for a reason to come back, like this isn't it.
Yeah, this isn't it. Well, guys, it's 7 o'clock. I need to go spend some time with the kids, so I appreciate y'all hanging out on this live stream. We're gonna end the poll, and yeah, so if you combine the meh and the not happy, it
like
is
80%.
No, it's like 89, 90%. It looks like
actually 90%.
Yeah,
like
and is the ratio, since you have the plug-in to see the downvotes? Do you think that's essentially kind of is about 90%?
The ratio is about 66 to 70%.
Yeah, that's probably more, closer to the overall mood, because
and
like
it's really
we're more, like integrated.
It's actually probably, if you add like 10 to 20%, I'd say it's about maybe 80 to 85% disliked.
Yeah.
Because the widget, the extension undercounts slightly.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. Well, guys, that's the news, the reaction, the discussion. If you guys enjoyed the content and you're new around here, hit that subscribe button, hit the top link in the description, and you can come hang out in Discord. I like to run these live streams as, kind of more like podcast and just general chill and hang and stuff like that. But we'll be doing some PAX Day and some more MMO coverage here. We didn't get anything about the other MMOs that I'm following. We didn't see anything from Throne of Liberty, and we didn't see anything from Blue Protocol, and that kind of feels like a big miss if there isn't any New World content, because they have the unique position to, if they, let's say they launch Throne of Liberty, or let's say they launch Blue Protocol, they could be like, yeah, New World doesn't have a lot of content right now, but have you heard about our other MMO? And so then people would be like, well, while I wait for this, for this, I'll go check out that, and they didn't do that either. So. All right, guys, it's been a long day. My butt hurts. And so somebody clip that, send that to me so we can make that a whole meme. Anyway, guys, love you so much. Thank you so much for being here. And hopefully I'll see you in the next video and or live stream. But until then,